So our next task is to remove the trailing sprites, and this one is pretty straightforward on how to get it done. The reason why we get trailing sprites is because the screen has memory. So if something was there from a previous iteration of the while loop, it is still there, right? So what is happening here? We are starting out by filling this background with black. We come into the while loop for the very first time, and let's say none of this happens because we don't have any keystrokes going on, so none of that happens. And then we blit the left paddle and the right paddle, which are both white in color, and they're both white in color because we we filled their surfaces with the white color, right here and here, and we place them in the middle of the screen. Okay, so they are there, and now let's say we come down to the bottom, we place it onto the monitor, we come back up into the while loop, and now we press the up key on the we press the W key. We press the W key, it changes those values of those variables, and then we get upward motion on the left paddle because the PL_Y variable is decreased by speed, which means that this is a lower number, which means that this surface is being placed onto the screen at a higher location on the screen, right? Okay, and so then we show it on the monitor. When we do that, the screen is still showing where the paddle was before this blit. So the last iteration of the while loop is still showing that blit. So it's still showing the paddle in the middle of the screen, and it's also showing the paddle slightly higher, and that's why we get the trailing sprites. Okay. So one way to fix that is to move this screen fill black into the while loop, into the game loop, and we put it right here, right before we blit everything, right? And so if we do that, then we're basically erasing the screen, and we're placing all the sprites onto the screen at their new locations where we want them. So let's go ahead and run that. I press up, and I get no trailing sprites. I go down, I get no trailing sprites, right? And why is that? Because every iteration of the while loop, we are erasing the screen, right? We're basically just throwing a big bucket of black paint over the projector, and then we're placing all the different sprites on the screen where we want them, and we are placing we're turning the projector on and turning it off. And then we come back into the while loop, we change the location of the sprites, we throw black paint all over the projector again, and we place the sprites at those new locations. So no trailing sprites.